Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Susan, and today we are going to be making this crop top and a 360-degree flare skirt. That's what we are going to be making today. So I'm going to show you how to fold your fabric. I'm going to show you the easiest and the simplest way for you to actually cut this skirt and this crop top in a very unique way. So if this sounds like what you like to learn, stay on the line, guys. And guys, I'm so excited because this channel just got monetized today. Yeah. So please guys, this is when I really need your support. Please do watch my apps and please don't skip. That's how I'm going to make money, guys. Please support me. And I want to use this medium to also thank my subscribers. Thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate. I do not take any of this for granted. And to you that just show my channel, please go ahead to subscribe. So guys, I'm going to show you how to fold this fabric. I'm going to illustrate with this because this style that we're doing is actually a long style, so there is going to be a long thing folding it, so the camera and all of that, and my space is not that big, so I'm going to use this fabric to illustrate. So first of all, you're going to fold it. You're folding it first by your length. If it's Ankara, that's 40, and so if it is an English fabric, that's going to be 60. So you're folding it first by that length, 60, or so that means when you're done folding it first, it's going to be 30. That you're going to have two. You can see you're going to fold it this way first of all. Then okay, that's why if your length is going to be above 30, that means you're going to be joining it. That's if you're using an English fabric. You can see that's by length. So this is by length that you're folding. So it's not by the yardage that you bought. So this particular side now is going to be by the yardage, and it's going to also depend on how long you want the dress to be, or how long you want the skirt, or whatever you're making, either a peplon, how long you want to be. So that's going to determine what you're going to be folding. So that's it. So you first fold it that way, then you're going to go ahead now to fold it this other way. So this is also going to give you the length of your dress or whatever you're making. So your folding now is going to be determined by how long you want your dress to be. I'm actually making a skirt length of about 39. I'm making the length is 39, so by the time I'll add other things, it's going to be like, it will be long. So that's exactly how I folded it. So you can see how it is. This side is going to the other side. So this is exactly how you're going to fold when you're making your own. Definitely if you're making a longer skirt, you're going to be needing to join it. So this is my white fabric. I've already gone ahead to fold it. You can see this is other part, and you can see other part that is opening. That's 4. 1 2 3 4. Just the same way you divide your skirt into 4 while doing it, but this one is already folded because we are trying to make a long circle. So I divided a waist measurement by 4, and whatever I have, I'm just trying to put it there, plus 1 inch for seam allowance. So I'm just trying to put it over there, and when I put it over there at the edge of that place, I'm going to find out from the top to that place to make sure what I have over there. So this is me just trying to find out if I have up to 10 here. So even if you're making a peplon, whatever you're making, that's how you're going to also do at that point. So if it's going to be your waist, if it's going to be on your knee, whatever you're doing, this point is what you want. If it's going to be on your bust or your neck, so I'll just go like this, and I'll find out what I have there is 6.5. so 6.5 is going to go round. I will make sure that everything I have over there is 6.5. So when I was done making sure that everything I have over there is 6.5, even if I divide the normal way, use like radius and all of that, I'll still have about 6.2. Then I'll just approximate it, because it's better for it to be big than for it to be smaller, so in case they need adjustment. So after everything, you should have at least 2 inch extra for your zipper, and you can adjust from there. So that's it for the round waist measurement. So what you should be having at that particular place, what you should be having here should be your waist measurement plus 1 inch allowance. You know the fabric is already into 4, So by the time you open it, that's going to be about 2 here and 2 over there. So that's it, guys. So from there, I'm going to take my length. It's from that point that you're going to take your length. So you're going to just take your length from there. The length is going to be enough at this other part. At this front part, the length is going to be enough. It's when you get to the other part that the length is not going to be enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark my length over here. You can see how I folded the material. So I still have extra fabric out there. You can see I still have extra fabric out there. So I'm going to go ahead now to take my, so this is what I was telling you. As at that place right now is 6.5. So the 6.5 is actually okay. So when I was done checking, like when I check my length, it's not what I folded is not enough. You get me? What I folded is not enough. So that is why I had to come up a little bit again, but I still use the same process of the first. I decided not to show you guys. It's just because the length was not enough. That's why I decided to come up again. You get me? So it's the same thing. It's just the same thing. But when I was done, I did not have up to 39.5 down. That's why I had to shift the fabric again, so it will go up, so the fabric will be more longer for me to get the length. So that is it, guys. So this is me just making sure the fabric is well placed. And so this is me taking 1/2 inch up here for allowance. Yeah, advise you to always take allowance at that up. Yes, I advise you to always take allowance at that. So I'm just taking my allowance. That's what I will use in stitching the band. You know there is going to be a band in this dress. That's what I'm going to use in stitching the band together. So please, you're going to minus your band allowance. You're going to minus, if you're using 1 inch, you minus it from your length. If you're using 2 inch, you minus it from your length. So that is it. So I did not actually minus mine because I'm going to use it as stitching allowance. So that is it. So this is me just going about right now to connect those points that I dotted at the length. I'm just connecting those points that I dotted at the length. So I'm just connecting them together to bring that round shape. You can see. So you can go ahead and, so this is me just confirming that the measurement I have over here is actually correct, so I can cut it off. So I'm just confirming it that is actually correct. Remember, is this one that we are using. So when you're cutting, you're actually cutting on your allowance. So that is it. So I'm also confirming my length that is correct because I'm going to cut it off. So when I was done cutting off, we are going to see the parts that are not complete. That's our length. So this is it. You can see this part is not complete, so we have to complete it right now. We have to complete it. So I've gone ahead to fold another fabric over there. So I can complete it. What you should note that this fabric that you have cut again, you can see at this particular place here there is no opening, so your own too there is not going to be opening. You're just going to join it. You get me? You're just going to join them. So me, I'm going to notch the midpoint of this my fabric, and I also notch the midpoint of this other one. So I'm going to join it before I cut them out. I'm going to join it before I complete the length. You can actually place it and do it, but I just want to be on a safe side. So I'm going to join it first. And this your fabric that you're going to join is just a straight fabric, but you're going to fold it into 4 also. You get me? It's going to be like into 4. So I'm done ironing it, I'm done joining in, and so now I want to complete my length. You can see what I'm doing. I didn't start from my allowance, so it wasn't still enough because this fabric, the half yards came in pieces, so I had to join again at the down part. You can see, so you can see that particular, but it's very small, but I just had to join it again to complete the length. You can see it's a very little something that added over there, because that fabric was cut, it was not complete. So I advise you, if you want to make this fabric for a plus size, you should at least get 5, or if you can manage 4.5. I use 4.5, and our bust is 44 and our waist is 37. So that is what I actually use. So I'm just going to go ahead now to cut it out. So we now have this. So we now have our complete measurements, guys. We now have our complete measurement. Note that these plates are going to be at the side. So this is a full circle flare. You can see why it is called full circle. It is full 360. You can see it is full flare. So that is it. This is our. So right now I'm going to cut one part, because there are no joining, there are no cuts anywhere. I'm going to cut one part that is going to save as a zip allowance. So I will advise you to cut the part that there is no joining, because if you cut the part that there is joining, that joining is going to be at the front and at the zipper. So I'm going to cut the part that there is no joining. So those joinings are going to be at the sides of this skirt. So I have cut it. They're going to be at the side and not at the front. You're going to go ahead now to open it and iron. Make sure you do this so it will not even look like you cut anything. Iron everything down. So right now I'm going to use a lining. I'll use half lining for this skirt. Yes, I want to use half lining. So the lining is going to stop at the knee length. So that is it, guys. So right now I'm just going to go ahead now to cut that place out. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and I just place it on top, and I want to cut the waist. I want it to be the same. And mind you, the fabric is also folded the same way the lining is folded the same way the fabric was folded. So they are the same thing. You get me? You can see they are the same thing. So right now I'm just going to go ahead now to look for to cut the length. So I'll advise you to, rather, before you add that to complete your length, I'll advise you to actually cut your lining first, except you want a full lining. So this is my lining. So this is how I want the lining to be. This is the length I want it to be. Yeah, so that is it, guys. So this is me measuring the waist, the total waist plus the allowance. I'm going to measure everything so I can actually cut a band. Mind you, if you're using a band, I already said it, I guess. If you're using a band, you're going to minus it from your length. Yes, so that is it. I didn't actually minus mine because I want it to be like that. Allowance and all of that. So this is the band that we are going to use. Is 5 inches, and I've added paper stay to it. It's the normal paper stay I added. So right now I'm going to look for the midpoint of this band, and I'm going to also look for the midpoint of the waist of this dress. This dress is actually for a plus size, so that's it. So I'm going to look for the midpoint, and I'm going to stitch it just all around. When I was done stitching, this is how it is, guys. I'm going to go ahead now to iron. You're going to open an iron. You're going to open inside, like you're going to open the stitches and iron it, both front and back. You get me? You're going to iron it. This is it when I was done ironing. So right now I'm going to bring my lining, and I'm going to go ahead now to fold the lining. You're folding it this way, 1/2 inch, and then you fold it round. After folding it, you're going to iron it. So I'm done folding and ironing it. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and place it on top, like I'm sewing on top of the I'm sewing on top of the seam of our waist. Do you get, of the band? When I was done sewing it that way, I'm going to just flip it over to the other side. As you're stitching it, you're going to leave about 1/2 inch before you start stitching it. You're going to leave 1/2 inch. That 1/2 inch is what you're going to use in turning the fabric. So this is it when I was done, and now flip it over to the main fabric. You can see how it is. So now let's finish up these other parts. So now what you're going to do is that you're going to go ahead now to fold your band. You can actually do this before you started, but I didn't do it. So you're going to bring your band this way, you're folding it, you're going to sew on the wrong side this way, you're going to sew on the wrong side. So remember, you're doing this from the half inch that you left. Like there is going to be extra half inch on the fabric and on the lining. So when you're stitching it, remember your lining will not get to the band and your fabric did not get to the band. So that's why when I was done, I brought it out and this is it. So after that, I'm going to go ahead now to stitch all of them together. You can see I'm going to go ahead now to stitch all of them together. The fabric and the lining is going to be remaining half inch. That half inch, I'm going to use them to turn down the lining. You can see at that zipper side. So I'm just going to go ahead now and stitch it around. You actually have excess here, no problems. I'm going to trim it out. So you're going to go ahead and stitch it that way. You do it for this side and do it for the other side. So see it here, when I was done stitching, I'm going to flip over to the front and this is what we have. You can see it's very neat. So that is it, guys. So guys, if you've watched this video to this point, please give this video a thumbs up, please subscribe and turn on the notification button. Thank you so much. So you can see from this point, I'm just going to go ahead now to place the band. Then I'm going to take a waist measurement. So I'll take the waist measurement from there. Then I'm going to also sew it down. When I get to like 8 inches, I'm going to mark that place because that's going to be where I'll attach my zipper. Then I'll sew 2 inches down. Then I'll also go ahead to fold it down, and that will be all for the skirt. Now let's go over to the blouse. It's a very simple blouse, straightforward. So I'm going to use 3 inches for a neck width. 3 inches for a neck width. By the time I use half inch to turn it, it's going to be 3.05. Yes, if it is me, if it's my dress I'm making, I'll not use up to 3 inches now. So I'm going to come down by the for the front, I'm going to come down by 3.05. That 3.05 is going to be that 3.05 because I'm going to add allowance at the top. So it depends on who you're making it for. If you're making it for a size 8, you might use 3, but if it is me and I want it to be like that, I'll not use up to 3 because by the time I'll use the other like half inch to turn it, it's going to be give me that 3.5 and it's going to be too wide for me. My neck is not wide. So I'll use about 3.25. I'll use about 2.25. By the time I'm done turning it, it's not up to 3.5. You get me? So the back, I'm going to use 1.5 for her. If it is me plus size 8, I will use 1. So that is it. I'm just going to go ahead to connect this way, and that is it. You're done with the neckline for the front. So we're going to go ahead and take our shoulder measurement. Our shoulder is actually 18 divided by 2, that's 9. I'm going to add half inch for seam allowance, and from there I'm going to take a under bust. I actually use 9.05. Then I'm going to come up here also by 9.05, which is actually yes, by 9, sorry please, by 9.05, which is what we have on the shoulder, is exactly what you're going to have over there. So right now I want to go ahead now to draw a line so I can be able to curve our armhole. Remember, this is it's going to be a free top. It's not going to be much tight. So I'm just going to go ahead to take a bust measurement. A bust is 43 divided by 4, and I'm going to add 1 inch actually for ease. So right now I want to curve the armhole first. So I'm going to come down by 1 inch for armhole slope. Come down by 1 inch. You really need to slope this slopey because our shoulders are really showing that they are sloping. So I just came up down by that 1 inch. So from there I'm going to go ahead now, and she's not tall, this is not, it's not a tall person, you get me. So I'm just going to go ahead now to draw that line, and at the midpoint of the armhole I'll go ahead and come in by half an inch, and from there I'm going to, so from there I'm going to go ahead now to connect. I'll just connect like this down there, then I'll use my curve ruler so I can get that curve smooth armhole. So guys, this is it for the front armhole. So when I was done, I'm going to go ahead now to take a bust point. A bust point is actually 11, shoulder to our bust point is 11, shoulder to our half length is actually 18. So I'm using 18 as the length of this blouse. 18 is okay, so that's what I'm using. So after that I'm going to go ahead now to take our bust measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch for east, and I'm going to add about 1.05 inches for seam allowance. The allowance is actually needed just in case it's too tight or maybe she add more. So that is it. So I'll just connect this one there, and when we are done, that is basically all for this. You're just going to go ahead now to take from that bust point, you're just going to go ahead. So from that bust point you're just going to go ahead now and take it down to the waist, and that's all. Yes, just going to go ahead and take it down to the waist with a straight line. That's all for this blouse. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place this on. Okay, I'm just adding allowance. I want to add my allowance that I'll use in joining the shoulders, because I don't want that shoulder to shift. Mind you, I added 2 inches for the seam allowance. So actually I added one. Later I added 1.5 inches because I'm managing this fabric, so I cannot just be letting it go like that. So that is it. I went ahead now to cut. I'll cut this is the back side. I'll cut it. So now I brought out a fresh paper and I just marked 2 inches for seam allowance. Then from that 2 inches I'm just going to take exactly what we have at that front. I will just take exactly what we have. I'll just repeat it at that point, you get me. So I actually draft the front and the back side, so I'm just going to, I just place this on this and I'm going to mark it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to come in by half an inch. I'm going to come in by 1 inch because I want the back to be longer than the front, so I'm going to reduce the front by 1 inch, then I'm going to replace that 1 inch at the back. This is what I like doing, and you guys, my subscribers, you know about this. You can actually try it one day. You see some people, when they are wearing their clothes, one side will be dragging, the back will be dragging it, but if you try this, it will eliminate that. So that is it. So I'm just going to reduce the front side and I'll increase it by the back side, so there is not going to be anything different. Remember, we already added our allowance, so that allowance is still there. Our shoulder allowance for joining is still there. So when I was done, just go ahead to cut. We just cut everything, and that is it, guys. Please give this video a thumbs up, please, please, please. This is how it's going to be. It's going to fall this way. So go ahead and also cut the neckline for the front. So this is me just confirming if I still have my 3 inches intact, and yes, I also confirm my shoulders, and yes, they are corresponding. So that is it, guys. That is it for everything. So right now I'm going to go ahead now. At that back is a free dress, but I'm just going to minus half inch from that waist. So I'll just connect it this way to avoid anything bulging or thereabout. So I'll just minus it, and when I'm adding my allowance, that's it. So when I was done cutting it, I've gone ahead to cut everything on the lining and on the fabric. I have cut, and I added half inch to the armhole. Actually added half inch to the armhole because I don't want the armhole to be like let there be an ease extra, so I added half inch. So right now I place the lining front side facing front side, and I'm going to turn the neck with an Amy gum. So I'll also do that for the back side. And when I was done, this is what we have. It's round neck. So I'm going to flip it over to the other side. Then I'm going to go ahead to, I will not iron it now. I don't want to iron it now. So it's when I'm done. So I'll just go ahead now to join the shoulders with half inch that we added. So when I was done joining the shoulders, you're going to join the shoulders this way, lining to lining and fabric to fabric. So when I was done, this is what we have. I've added it. You can see how neat it is. It's just giving me joy. You can see how beautiful it is. So I'm going to shape this dress by exactly the allowance that we added. So I'll also I'll shape it lining to lining and fabric to fabric. I actually added paper state to this dress, guys. Yes, I added paper state to the lining. So right now I've gone ahead to join the sides. I joined them right side facing right side. I've already turned it. Do you get me? See it here, lining to lining and cloth to cloth. That's what I did. So at this other part, I'm going to minus on the lining because I cut everything the same. So I'm going to minus 1 inch from this lining. This is so that you'll not be seeing that lining coming out from that. You know, we added extra inches at the down part, so I'm taking out 1 inch from the lining. Yes. Okay, so that is it. When we're done, you can see. Then when I'm stitching this dress, I'm still going to put half inch lining inside. You can see I'm going to start stitching it from half inch. That means half inch is still inside. So this is it when I was done. And when I was done, I'm just going to flip it over to the other side, and this is what we have, guys. You are not going to see any seam outside because I actually did inseam. So this is how it is. So I'm going to iron it all. You can see what I was saying, that I want the shoulder to fall. You can see how it is. So after you follow that arc and you're going to take your measurement, you see that it's exactly 18. I've gone ahead to cut the sleeve and I've added my lining to it. So now I'm just going to add, it's a basic sleeve, normal sleeve. So just go ahead and do it. And the lining, you're going to turn it lining to lining also. So when I was done, I'm just going to sew it round. There are not going to be seams outside of this dress. So when I was done, so this is exactly what we have, guys, when we're done. So our crop top is actually ready. So I'm going to go ahead now to put my zipper for it. I'll put my zipper. And guys, this is where we'll come to the end of this video. You guys said I should do the both, so the next tutorial is going to be on the other one that is like a shirt. So we'll be making the shirt and we're going to be making the skirt. So guys, if you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe, turn on the notification button, and please note that this mannequin is actually size 8 while the dress is for like size 16, 14. So the fitting might not really be there. You get me? So that is it. Thank you. See you in my next